Hey guys, what's up? Disney Nuts here. How you guys doing? Today we're going to be talking about photography inside dark rides. Let's go. Okay, dark ride photography, the challenge of all us photographers, be able to get that shot inside that dark ride. There was a video I did a while back, which was the visit of the ride of Navi River Journey, which we talk about something similar. Now, there's a couple of components that make a good shot inside a dark ride, and the first one is obviously the lens, followed by the camera and the high ability ISO that it has to be able to capture in dark ride situations. So with that said, not every camera will be able to capture good photos inside of dark rides. And this is what basically makes a difference of a regular camera as to a really expensive camera or expensive lens. For example, when we talk about lens, the lens that we're going to be using today for this ride, it was the same one that we used for the Navi River Journey, is the Nifty 50, which is the Canon 50mm lens, which is this one. And this you can get basically off of Amazon, probably like for $100. And the good thing of this lens is that it has a really wide aperture, which means that it lets in a lot of light really fast. So that it comes to our advantage when we're shooting in dark rides, because since we're obviously in a dark situation, you want to be able to let in as many light as possible, as much as light as possible in as little time, because that way we prevent the camera from taking a photo which is blurry and stuff like that, which is what we're trying to avoid. Second is we need to make sure that our camera has some type of high ISO capability. In this case, for example, the camera that I'm using, which is a Canon 80D, the ISO can go up to 12,000, but I usually only limit it up to 6400, because anything around even at that range will come out with a lot of grain, which is digital noise, which the camera will do when it's a dark situation. Now obviously those two components can vary depending on the camera that you have, as well as the lens, and that right there is probably one of the reasons why these lenses get more expensive as the aperture is wider and has different capabilities and stuff like that, which is probably a topic for another video. So okay, so with that said, what we're going to be doing, we're going to head over to Magic Kingdom, and we'll talk a little bit more about the equipment and the settings for the ride, and who knows, maybe we'll run into Jack Sparrow. Let's head over to Magic Kingdom. Let's go. Hey Jack, how you doing?
Hello friend, good to see you mate. How
Same
are you
here.
Today?
Fine, everything's great.
Very well. What are you doing here? I have a very peculiar question before you answer that.
Sure.
I woke up in Tortuga the other day, and then I woke up here today. No idea where I am, no idea where my ship is.
Okay.
Would you be able to direct me to a empty or non-vacant ship that I can commandeer?
I guess you could just head north.
Head north.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guess I can do that.
Yes.
Head north, find a ship, commandeer it, and where would I be?
I don't know.
So you don't know where
I
we
don't know.
are
I don't know where we are now. I'm
It's a
sorry.
good song. It's a good
Okay.
song. All right, mate. I'll do my best.
Okay,
right?
thank you,
Very
Jack.
good.
Okay, take care. If you walk a little bit over here to the back and to the left, there's actually a boat here. Maybe this is the boat that Jack Sparrow was talking about. Okay, so now there's a couple of dark rides here inside Magic Kingdom which we can do for testing, but today we're actually going to do it here at Pirates. And the reason for that is the ride isn't dark as some of the other stuff like Haunted Mansion, so it gives us a starting point so when we go inside and take some photos. But before that, let's go ahead and talk about the equipment and the lens that we're going to be using to take shots inside the ride. So when we're talking about equipment, let's go ahead and talk about the camera and the lens that we'll be using for today's. As you can see, I have my trusty Canon 80D, which is my only camera that I use for all these photos. And as for lens, today we're going to be using the Nifty 50, which is the Canon lens that you see right here, and it is a fixed lens, which means it's a prime lens. Now as for mode, we're going to be shooting manual mode, and the reason for that is that we want to be able to control at least two of the components that we're going to be using for to be able to take the shot. And the first thing is going to be the shutter speed. We're going to put it at 60, and that you can actually vary. It's funny because I actually did a poll recently on a Facebook group, and many people use around 50 to 60, and some go down even to 30. But for today, we're going to use 60. And then on what is the f-stop, we're going to use 1.8, which is the widest that this lens provides. And then we're going to leave the ISO as auto. Okay, now there's two other settings that we need to make sure we have set up before we head into the ride, and that is our metering as well as our focus. In this case, we're going to go down here to what is our focus points. Now check on your manual to see how you set them up, and many of them will have either like a range, or in this case where you can actually select points themselves, which is we're going to select the little dot right in the center, which means that when we're taking the photos, when I'm looking through the viewfinder, I'm going to see a little red dot, and that red dot I'm going to point it on what I want to be able to take in the photo, and that is going to be the part which is probably lit the most, and that way the camera would focus on that and not of the other parts of the image. So that's the first one. The next one right next to it is the metering mode, and this one we're going to be actually setting to spot metering, and the reason for that is that when it comes to compute the other components that it's trying to figure out to be able to take the photo, we wanted to make sure that it looks at the exact same center of the image, which is what's probably going to be lit, and not to try to compensate for the parts of the outside of the image which are probably dark. Okay, so once we got those two things set, we can head inside the ride. Okay, so we got our fast pass. We're heading inside now to Pirates. In we go. I think I'm early, right? Thank you. Okay, so we're waiting for the next boat here. We're the next people, actually. I am the next person who's in the front, so let's see what we get, guys. Here we go, guys.
Strike your feathers, dearie. Show 'em your flock.
Hey! Send them hens to Davy Jones!
Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the photos that we took from the ride. Now here is the first one that I took, and this is actually right before you get onto the boat. If you look to the right, you'll see this ship with the moon in the back, and it's really cool. It actually gives you more or less of a base for how your photos are going to come out with the settings that we have. So here we have the photo taken at 1/60th of a second, f1.8, and ISO 6400 with the camera selected automatically. Now for these type of shots, I'm just going to go ahead and show you the settings that I have here, which is basically a standard that I have for dark rides. And one thing that I always like to do afterwards, and there's actually a video that I did about this, I like to denoise all the area except the center of the image. For example, I'm going to go ahead and select my adjustment brush, and there's actually already a mask here that I already selected. And here is all what I go in and I highlight, and this is what I use for denoise, and I usually put like 78%. And what that does is that takes off all the noise. For example, let me bring this down, and you can see how noisy it looks. So what I like to do is I like to paint around it and bring this up like to the 70 something, and there you go. It somewhat smooths out the image a little bit. Okay, let's go with another one here that we took. Here's the beach scene, which looks pretty cool, and you can see everything looks in focus, and I was pointing right into the center of this guy so you can see how nice and sharp he is. Now for example, if there's some noise here, let me show you the settings that I put on here. Basically very similar to what we had before, but I can come here to the adjustment tool and put the denoise again, and I put it to 75%, and I'll basically paint on this area here where we got some noise. There we go. And on the rock. and that will somewhat hide a little bit the noise that's coming out in the photo. It's not perfect, but at least it won't bring the attention of the eye down here. Another thing you can also do is darken it up. If I go here and I just darken this area up, it doesn't look bad at all. And there we go. Okay, another photo that I took that I liked a lot was actually this one. And what I did here, and I got really lucky, was that, as you can see, there's a couple of other photos I took. I took numerous photos and I waited until the lightning went out, and that's how I got the light coming here straight towards the person. Now here I did the same thing, and you'll see if I click on this button here, I denoised all around the guy. Okay, and then you'll see there's another dot here in the middle, which is where I got here and I painted over this person and I did sharpness. So I got denoising over on the outside and then sharpness on the inside. And there's your photo. Now as for the settings, they're basically the same as all the other ones. There's really nothing fancy here. Exposure, a little bit of highlight, bringing it down and bringing up the shadows. Vibrance and saturation, I boosted up a little bit, because usually the more grainier the photo, the more color it loses. So I usually bring it back, adjusting these two. And then sometimes I'll, bring up some of the stuff in the saturation, or something. I'll just leave it as is. Let's say here I want to bring up the purple or the red. That way, highlights the other stuff. Okay, and here's another photo that I edited, and you can see I did the denoising around Jack Sparrow. Let me click it here so you guys can see. But I didn't do the sharpening. I didn't do the denoising on top of him, and then I did another adjustment brush and then sharpened him. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that so you guys can see how it actually works. Turn that off. I turn that off. Okay, here's the image. As you can see, there's a lot of noise, so we're going to select our adjustment brush, and then select noise 75, and I'm going to paint over it. Now what I like to do is I like to press the O button and do overlay, and that way I see exactly where I'm painting. And you see I'm not going to touch him in any way, shape, or form. Okay, there's that. And I'm going to hit new, and I'm going to hit the sharpen. Now you don't want to overdo it, because then it's going to look weird. Over here, this guy. And you don't want to sharpen the whole picture, because you want just a certain thing to stand out. Hit erase, and I'm going to bring out the area around here. And I'm going to press O for overlay. And there we go. There's our Jack Sparrow. Let's bring it down a little bit. I think it looks a little too strange. There we go. We can bring down the black a little bit. There we go. There we got our Jack Sparrow hanging out, looking out to see what's going on. Then here's the same thing I did with this photo. I sharpened on the inside and denoised all around, and you'll see that the settings are basically the same as the other one. Here's the settings that I used. Okay, and that's it. Here's the photos that we took on the ride. You can see on top of the photos we have 1/60 of a second, f1.8, and this one actually used ISO 400, which means that there's a little bit more light compared to the other situations, so the camera compensates by bringing the ISO down, which makes the quality look better. And here we go. Okay, that's it, guys.
Okay guys, so that's it. Hopefully this will help you on your dark ride conquest when you head over to the parks. If this is the first time watching these types of video, my name is Disney Nuts, and I do theme park video photography like this one, as well as food reviews and other stuff with my wife when we head over to the parks. So if you like what you saw and you want to see more, feel free to hit that subscribe button and the bell to get notified, and please feel free to share this video with your friends and colleagues, and hopefully we can keep these videos coming for you. Until then guys, stay awesome. See ya.